Woohoo! I like that. Hello and welcome, everybody. Josh the RV Nerd here with the newest thing from Ember RV, and it's no slides, it's no bunks, and weirdly, I think I like this better than the couples model with a slide out. I think I like this better than the 171, and here's why I say that. I feel it's got a little bit better kitchen setup. I feel like it's got a little bit better, say, like storage capacity. That's kind of one of the funny things about slide outs. Slide outs occupy a big chunk of wall space, but because the entirety of the wall doesn't slide out because there's still like a trim fascia, you lose huge chunks of space for cabinetry that this one doesn't have to deal with. I also think this has maybe the single best bathroom I've ever seen in a single axle camper. It's got awesome storage back there, a nice big rectangular shower that big people can fit in like me, and speaking of big stuff, it's a little bit wider at 7.5 wide. It's got an interesting kind of slanted ceiling, not even a vaulted ceiling. We'll talk more about that. So it feels very big and open and expansive. If you're very tall, you're gonna feel very comfortable in here. But one of the things I think is cool about this, and it's a major factor I think, is that it is a 60 by 80 true queen size bed. Now it is a form of bendy bed, and I'll show you how it works on the inside. But at the same time, you don't have to use it as a Murphy bed. Like, it still has a sofa that has a removable table, so you always have a place to eat, you always have a place to sit. You could just leave the bed down and use it as a true queen bed all the time. Now, it's not a walk-around north-south queen bed. This is still fairly heavy for a single axle camper. That's why they have the beefier suspension, the nice Goodyear Wrangler tires on it, which is another thing. This has an absolute best in class suspension package available out there, something that can really handle a lot of shocks and jolts. I've gone on a long time. Let's get started. Let's get in here because there is a lot to see and a lot to learn about one of these, and I cannot wait to show you.
Now there's a lot of little things this does, I think, well or differently or things like that, even as compared to some of the other Embers that I've looked at, especially the slide out models. One of the things this is doing better than some of those, frankly, is a better entertainment center. You know, we're sitting at the front of the RV looking back toward the bathroom right now. The kitchen is over to our right, just to help you get the lay of the land here. But the TV's at a more direct viewing angle. Now, they did something a little different here. Like, you hear me in my lot of videos say, man, I don't even understand the benefit of outside speakers on RVs anymore, when a portable Bluetooth speaker, frankly, is probably less expensive, and it definitely sounds better. Well, what they did here is they went with an all-in-one entertainment system, and this does not have outside speakers, which I don't mind, because now it's one less thing that can possibly leak on the outside of the RV. But this is a 12-volt TV soundbar combo. So if you want to add something like a Blu-ray or anything like that, it has HDMI plugs, but you'll have to kind of maybe repurpose a space up here, and then maybe just kind of like drill with a little 1/4-inch zip kind of down through there to give yourself a little access point. But that's a small thing. It's really non-invasive. Stuff like that doesn't like screw up your warranty, by the way, unless you, like, if you screw through a wire, then yeah, they're not going to cover that. So kind of, you know, go slow and be careful and look at what you're doing. But that TV is also on a pivot, so that, you know, if you're, like, let's say you're laying down at night, you're using kind of this as the headboard area of the bed, you can make the TV kind of angled toward you, which is a little bit nice. Now, we'll come back and we'll see all of that opened up, and we'll get to see the secondary functions and details of everything in a minute. First, I just kind of want to give you, like, a general overview of what we're looking at. That's part of the reason I include that sort of flyby floor plan in a flash sort of footage at the start of the video to give you a better look at everything. So let's kind of start up top and work our way down. We've got a 13,500 BTU air conditioner up here, and you notice they have a very nice lighting package. One of the things that's cool on this is it's dimmable. Actually, let me back up a little more because there's yet another row of lights there. So if you want to kind of just die that down a little bit, you know, you're watching a movie at night, it's early in the morning, you're not ready for the full-on brightness yet, you can do that. Something else that is kind of cool. There's a few different areas where you can turn it on and off, but look at the bottom of that stand by the door. Now, that little amber light is not the most, like, wow, earth-shattering thing, obviously, but I turned it on from the bathroom. So they have sort of like a, you know, an evening night light system in this RV that, you know, it'll activate the little navigation light in both the, you know, living area as well as the bathroom. Now, one of the cool things is if you want to just shut that off, you can turn that off while still leaving the bathroom light on. So they made sure that, like, somebody in the bathroom isn't flicking a switch and disturbing someone in the living room, although it's low enough that's probably not going to happen. Now, up top here, you have the Ember RV Stargazer. Stargazer, yes. So what they're doing on this Stargazer. Oh my gosh, did you get together with Rebecca and Stargazer last weekend? They went up to get an organic, you know, vegan water, and oh, just so refreshing. I don't know why, the word Stargazer just really struck me there. They're using different windows on this, is what I want to get at. Although I do believe they are now offering a more traditional frameless window option. These are a Euro style window. It is a dual layer window. One of the cool things about this, they are incredibly noise dampening. So, like, we're not far off the road, and when I'm outside, I'm using a noise canceling mic, but inside I don't do that because it can kind of cause some production problems. I don't have to do that in here because it is nice and quiet. Now, if you're looking at that, you're going, okay, but if I open it, all the bugs are getting in. All of those windows, by the way, have two sections of shades. You have a full-on blackout privacy shade from the bottom, which I love, because if somebody's knocking on the door, which does have its own blackout privacy shade, but it only goes from the top down from the factory. You can flip it. We'll get to that in a second. You can leave it like this, and you can kind of peek around the corner and see what's going on, like four non-blondes. You'd be like, hey, what's going on? And then, you know, block that out. But you also have the day shade, which between the tint on the windows and the day shade will maintain a ton of privacy in here, but that can quickly act as your bug screen, and you have the exact same thing going on up there. Now, to make sure that thing doesn't pop open, it's got 5, I think, twist locks on it. It's not going anywhere unless you want it to. But this is a Murphy bed system, and I want to show you how this thing works out if I can figure out a place to rig up the camera halfway decent. So, I have no idea what the camera's pointing at. I just set it over there. Hopefully you're getting the shot. If not, I'm wasting a bunch of time. Anyway, just to kind of give you a size reference, you know, when I sit down at the sofa here, how much room there is. It does come with a pair of, I don't know what, I'm not an interior decorator, like when it has that sort of like lamb's wool kind of print going on. What it looks like to me is when my dog had a little lamb chop chew toy with a squeaker in it, and they like for like too long, and then after a while, after they chew on it, it starts to get matted down a little bit. It's what it kind of looks like to me. Probably not the image that Ember was going for, but hey, that's just how I see it. Anyway, what I wanted to show you here is you've also, like, you know, if it's 2 of you and you got like a grandbaby for a weekend, or what if you're a single parent? This, you know, this industry, it always talks about couples and bunkhouses. There's a lot of single parents out there who maybe they run around for the weekend. Maybe you're going to use a sofa or something like that as like your kid for the weekend camping getaway or something. You know, I'd have been cool with that as a kid. I didn't go through that experience exactly necessarily, but, you know, something like that could work. Just, there's a lot of different people that camp there, you know? I just want to make sure you understand that you're seen. Anyway, you could have 2 adults, you could have a kid in the middle here, or you could have a little dog that takes up a ton of space like my little fluff buddy Carlos McGillicuddy, but neither here nor there. You've also got a little fold-down armrest for a couple cup holders, and a nice hardwood side stand on either side here. Now, it's a little bit interesting because these armrests do flip up for storage, but if the sofa isn't mounted dead nut center, which is a technical term, by the way, it can sometimes be a little hard to get in and out of some of these, so that might be something that needs a little bit of a shimmy and an adjustment. But I want to show you how this Murphy bed works. There's some storage under here. We'll get back to that in a minute. Step 1, if we, to quote New Kids on the Block, step 1, we're going to fold down this guy. Now, just to give you a reference, if you just, you know, maybe you don't need the whole bed. I'm, you know, 6'2", 6'3", just to give you a reference point. My head's on the armrest, my feet are on the armrest. Not quite going to cut the mustard, although, why would anybody want to, like, cut mustard? That would be like folding a soup. It doesn't make sense. Then we drop the platform down here. Now, this is, I don't know how else to describe this other than using high-level industry jargon. But this is a latch-attachy bendy bed Murphy system. So what that means is we've got like a slam latch down here, and then you pull this forward, and it is a hinged mattress. Then you're gonna fold that down, and basically you just gotta kind of get back here and tuck it, and it falls in place, and you're good. Now this is a 60 by 80 true queen, and they even have a little extra room over here for like some little headboard or footboard pockets, however you want to use it. But again, to give you that size reference point, if I get right back over here and I put my head toward the top of the bed, well, suddenly there's all kinds of room. And because it's a full 60 by 80, means it's also wider, not just longer. And because this RV doesn't have any slides or anything like that to worry about, you can just leave it like this. If you're like, I don't care about the bendy thing. That's not my thing. You could swap this out. You could put any queen bed you wanted in here. They're gonna fit. This wouldn't be hard if you wanted to get like a mattress topper, although I'm never gonna tell you that any RV mattress is amazing, but this doesn't suck. I've definitely seen worse, but I've also never found the one mattress that everyone's like, that's the ticket, Jiminy Cricket. Mostly because that would just be a weird thing to say. Now anyway, let me get you up close here. You kind of saw the little accent light before. Like I said, there is a kill switch dedicated to that. Household and USB plugs on both sides, like those side stands. And then up here, it's not major, but maybe like a little book nook, you know? What would you put on that little shelf space? It's not the biggest space. It's kind of an awkward size, but at least they did something with it, you know? I'd rather they do something than waste it and do absolutely nothing, I think. Now, I want to kind of show you everything in multiple different configurations. Again, you've got that day-night kind of blackout, or, I don't know, not blackout, well, blinder section. You do have that shade in the entry door, and I mentioned that's reversible. Some people like the idea of it opening from the bottom up. Again, for privacy purposes, there's 4 little clips. You're just going to pop the 2 clips at the top, the 2 clips at the bottom, reverse the mounts, reclip them in place, and voila, there you go. That is all there is to it. We are carpetless, we are easy cleaning, and we've got a chunk of storage below the sofa, potentially. And I say that because if you get the Max Solar package, this is going to be filled with Battleborn lithium batteries and a completely different electric like charger converter system here that will do things like run the air off the battery power, albeit for a limited time. By the way, that you see how there's a backlight coming from the latch-attachy bendy bed up there? That has, the switch is in an awkward place, but I don't really know where else they could. If you have ideas, I'm going to drop this before I hit it, my head on it. If you have ideas, let me know. So this is the switch for that light, and it is on a dimmer, but when the bed is down, it's kind of way under there. But I also don't know where better to put it. But I don't always come up with the best answers. And you folks, frankly, are amazing. Actually, now that I'm looking at this, I'm sort of wondering if up on the side of that cabinet wouldn't be a little bit better place. But hey, as long as we're looking over here, I'm just going to let the RV speak to me. I'm just going to follow its aura. I'm just going to let its energy talk to me. Oh my gosh, you know what I mean? Anyway, I don't know what my deal is. I'm on this kick lately. It's like every now and then I will get really deep into, like, you know, doing a Christopher Walken impression. And I'm telling you, when you're walking on sunshine, it is hard to break it. But I am not going to subject you to that level of torture today. I have not dusted off my Christopher Walken impression in quite some time. Now, I'm being picky here. I'm being just RV nerd specific. These are some nerd preferred kind of things. Doesn't mean that Ember did a bad job. Just my preference. I like a good space for a wastebasket in the kitchen. I kind of wonder if sacrificing that shelf under the sink, or at least half of it, couldn't have accomplished that. But I'm going to commend them as compared to some of the other Embers. This has, you know, like better counter space, better cabinet space, a little more prep space. And I'm still not going to tell you it's like a giant rear kitchen fifth wheel or travel trailer in terms of prep space and counter space, but it's better than some of them. I like that extra chunk over there, the plywood drawers over here. Now, maybe you could put like one of those smaller waste baskets that like uses, say, like Walmart bags or Target bags or whatever. Here in the Midwest, we actually have another thing like that called Meyer. Meijer. It's a soft J, which sounds like a Y, by the way. Kind of like my name, obviously. I'm sure I didn't have to explain this to anyone, but my name is actually Yash, the RV nerd. As if it couldn't get any sillier, right? Oh, here's an interesting fact. Microwave is actually optional, which makes sense as a bit more of a boondock-centric trailer. Weirdly, a propane oven is flat not currently an option. And you might go, what? Why? Well, on today's episode of Josh Answers Questions You Didn't Even Ask, I'll tell you why. Basically, it has to do with standardization in production. Like if you look at this, you see it's got that vertical 2-burner stovetop, which personally I really like in here, but I'm a Midwestern boy. I'm not making cookies and biscuits in a propane oven when I'm camping all the time. That being said, cookies and biscuits are delicious. So if you're baking next door, I'm definitely coming over in the morning just to be like, hey neighbor, oh well sure, I'd love a cookie. I am totally that guy who just, oops, I happened to be here when you were handing out free stuff. I didn't even know. But sorry. They've standardized this for the 2-burner stovetop. An oven requires the space of a 3-burner stove. Well, their cabinetry is kind of set differently. Now, theoretically, could they come up with 2 different sets of cabinetry? In theory, sure. Factories don't like to do that, though. It complicates things. That's why in certain floor plans, like a 15 TB GeoPro, there is no option for an oven in that one. But all other GeoPros have an option for an oven. So they standardize for the space of a 3-burner stove, so there could be an oven below it. It's just funny little things like that. But if you're ever wondering the why behind the what, long story short, it usually has to do with speed and effectiveness in production. And now you know. And as we learned watching G.I. Joe growing up, knowing is half the battle. So this is a larger, faster cooling 12-volt DC compressor fridge. At the time of this filming, Ember does not currently offer a gas-electric 2-way option. So plan accordingly. That's going to be a big deal feature. I forgot to close. Yeah, oh, look at the little attention to detail. This is just a small thing, guys. But this is all pocket-screwed cabinetry, by the way. Hardwood door frames. This is a sticker, like sort of veneer kind of wrap, hidden hinges. But the little bumpers, just the little details like that. You know what I like about that? When this is going down the road and it's vibrating, it's not, it takes away the ability for it to wiggle, jiggle, and vibrate more. Ooh! This is something they haven't always done well in the past either. Put power outlets in a perfect spot for a coffee maker. I'm telling you, they're listening, they're evolving, they're getting better every time I see one of these things come in here. Now, I mentioned how that TV can pivot around. I also said we'd come back and get you a better look at that. Sometimes I forget to do those things. I'm really glad to know that today I did not. The cabinet doors are all strutted, so you don't have to juggle them open with your head. You've got a little motion-sensitive master control panel there to light up whenever you're near it. Oh, look at that. Watch this. That's the sound the Force makes, by the way. They edit that out in the Star Wars movies, but that's true. But basically, in a way, it's sort of like welcome home. You walk in, this little sensor is going to pick you up. You can turn your ceiling lights on and off. Again, these are on a dimmer, which I think is kind of cool. Now, the camera might be flickering a little bit. Sometimes digital cameras do that. They don't flicker in real life, although I'm literally tripping over my boots in real life. Now, this is kind of cool. Down here, under the sofa, which also folds down into a jackknife sleeper, you see stuff. And what you're seeing down here is an optional telescoping ladder that we're going to see outside. You're also seeing basically your mounts and your tables for the double Dinofa. And if nothing else, that can always act as like a dedicated storage chest. But there's still nice room to be able to walk through here if need be. I didn't get that on there quite square. It's a little jihad. That's my fault. Now, as compared to our previous video on the 190, which was a no-slide bunkhouse, which effectively is the exact same floor plan, but instead of a mega bath, it has bunks and a smaller bathroom back there. It's a little bit bigger overall as a resort. This has a single removable but dual positional Dinofa table instead of having 2, which always kind of felt a little bit like overkill to me in that one. Maybe they agreed. And here's what I mean. You can take this thing, and you can also mount it on the front sofa. But looking at this, I don't know that I kind of thought about it before. If you want even more counter space, mounting it on that front sofa it feels like you just created a nice little countertop extension right there, doesn't it? Or is that just me being stupid? It could be me being stupid. I'm willing to accept that. Now, normally I'd take time to do stuff like close slides up and show you an RV in road mode. We're not going to have to do that here. That's why I don't mind taking the extra time to show things like, the Murphy beds and the Dynofas and all the inside the kitchen storage. If that stuff is helpful for you, if you appreciate it, I'd really, it'd be awesome if you hit the like button on the video to help kind of spread the video's message around. And if you're new with us, hit subscribe, because this is what we do all the time, every time. Now at the bottom here, you see a couple little circles. Those are your heater vents. This uses a very different type of heater system. It uses what's called a Truma Combi. It is a water heater and furnace combo. It has a small flue that heats sort of like an on-demand. It sort of operates like if a traditional water heater and an on-demand water heater had a baby. And it can also act like a furnace, which is cool. Now inside here, you have 3 different sets of lights in this bathroom. You have, if you're looking, the backlit morning mirror, which is very nice if you're feeling a little zombified. You've got your normal ceiling lights, and then once again, you've got the little evening ember glow. But you know what? I like that it's not the Labatt blue light, disco light, sticking you in the face. Big ceiling fan up there. What is that? 4-speed high exhaust fan. And again, I think this is one of the best bathrooms I've seen in a single axle camper, maybe ever. If I'm going to offer any critique of this, it's just that it's a plastic bathroom sink. Now, that doesn't make the bathroom less effective. It just makes it feel less fancy, because otherwise, holy crap, they nailed it. And speaking of holy crap, toilet space, baby. This is some serious bathroom space around here. And at its shortest point in here, you are 6.5 foot tall. So this big rectangular shower, which has a floor to ceiling shower surround panel, if you're my height, you're always going to be able to stand in here, albeit with your head in the skylight. But they put a big skylight on it because they can, because it's a laminated roof. There's a lot of really interesting things that go along with that. And you see that sticker there? This does have the AquaView shower miser. So if you're boondocking, you don't have to waste a single drop of your fresh water waiting for your shower water to heat up. It basically, it's like a recycler system. And what's going to happen is you're going to flip this knob, and that will recycle the water back through the system. And when that blue thing turns white, you know you've got hot water and you haven't wasted nothing. It's awesome. Ooh, I just spotted something I didn't catch the first time around. Check this out. So it's gonna look obvious, I think, to a lot of people, but I move really fast, and my wife will confirm I'm not the most observant person on a regular basis. Just to kind of help connect, all the dots here from the shower, giving you another. You know what? Let's give you another look at the legroom, just for a point of reference is what I was wanting to say right there. But good shoulder, good hip space, little pockets there maybe for some toilet paper and whatnot, but just a huge cabinet that I opened this up, I'm like, ooh, big closet, because you haven't seen a lot of hanging storage space in a lot of your Embers. So that to me is a very welcome feature. Then I saw that little plug nubbin up there, technical term, mind you, plug nubbin. That right there is a little prep point for an LTE Wi-Fi system. And then I glanced and I went, oh, it's a Mervin shelf. So named after the person who first came up with this years ago. Actually, I believe at Wildcat RV. It's just a little magnet shelf that flips up there. And suddenly we can add extra shelving space instead of hanging space if we need. It's the littlest things that sometimes get me all sorts of bent out of shape and jazzed up. And did you notice they fully framed out the doorway so that you don't have to worry about bathroom aromas making their Taco Tuesday way up to the living space? I know some people are going to appreciate that. What do you think of this thing overall, guys? I'm telling you, I think I like this one better than the couples camper with a slide.
Stepping outside here, let's actually start by getting to the bottom of things, and then we will work our way up and around. First of all, when you're in single axle campers like this, an enclosed underbelly package is not always something that's even available as an option. These are standard enclosed and have tank heaters on these, and they are actually in the middle of 0 degree testing their RVs. I've been assured that they will get the go-ahead to be able to call these things quote-unquote 4 seasons or 0 degree rated or whatever you want to call it. At the time of this filming, that has not been completed.
So it seems the shortage on prescription-grade rash cream is coming to an end. I've put my finger in my ear, and it seems that we have a recent update from our senior field RV analyst, Josh the RV Nerd, with some exciting new news on Ember RVs. Josh?
Yes, it's true, Josh. I did go to Bosley. In unrelated news, it is official. The rumors are confirmed. Ember RV has officially passed cold camp certification in the Truma hot-cold testing chambers. Once again, providing that you can heat things up with an Ember RV. Back to you, Josh.
Yeah, look, I know, I don't care what it costs. I'm definitely going to need a refill on that cream. Look, I gotta go. All right, bye. And that concludes our news for the day. Bish's RV News Network, always on the scene, always on the case.
Wow, our lot porter couldn't have staged this tire up any better for me. In case you were curious, yeah, Goodyear Wrangler tires, basically truck tires on this thing, so that if you do want to take it off the beaten path, she can handle it. And not just the tires, but the suspension. This has a Kurt dual shock true trailing arm off-road suspension package. And I've personally test towed this. This is one of the best towing trailers I've ever towed it with. It was a half-ton pickup, had no weight distribution system on it, no load leveling or anything like that, and it hauled fantastically. I wouldn't hesitate to haul it exactly like that again. That system right there, though, requires a completely different box tube steel chassis. It actually comes out of the Airstream plant. And we're going to talk more about some similarities with Airstreams in just a moment. But first of all, a Nautilus-style, like, fifth wheel sort of docking station over here. What's cool about this is it gives you a place to keep, like, all your hoses and cords and stuff all hooked up, but out of the way. Because there's a couple little kind of feed holes down there. And I think it's cool how Ember includes one of those 90-degree bend connectors for us right there. And I like how they only include one, because you should only have one of those three water hookups in play at any given time, effectively. Now notice too, your sewer outlet you'll see later in the back corner of the RV on the driver's side here, but our poles are up here where they're protected. Our gate valves are enclosed, you know, there's just extra little protection methods like that. We've got factory roof solar. There's an option for an even more advanced solar package, but you notice how we always maintain that little side solar prep plug. Now a couple things over here. Basically, you can set it and forget it. This RV has that 1,000-watt inverter, so if you want to run your outlets when you're off-grid, you can do that. Absolutely no problem. It won't run the microwave, won't run the air conditioner in its base form, but the advanced solar can. But you notice how that inverter switch is lit up right now. That's because you can turn it on, and when it doesn't need to run because you're attached to shore power, it just won't. It's smart like that. You've also got that tank heater switch. Now, I would prefer that to be in the kitchen, but again, they're thermostatic. It's set it and forget it. So if I reached over here and I flick that sucker on, it's only going to turn on when the temperature falls below 40 degrees. You're not going to sit there and melt your tanks, you know. Over here, factory TPMS, the tire minder system, and I've played with that. It actually syncs right up into the one control package so that effectively one app can do your TPMS, it can do your, your tank monitoring, all kinds of stuff if you want it to, you know. That's kind of the cool thing about that, is it's just there if you want it. Up front, we've got the gearbox, which is an optional item, but it seems to be something I've never seen an Ember roll down the line without it. The thing is, this is one of the reasons these have a pretty hefty tongue weight. That's why, for the most part, like, I think even a lot of mid-sized pickups are going to kind of struggle with these. But this is also an area where you get to see how Ember is listening, and they're improving even since the very first video we put out. Go back and watch that, and then watch this and see the little areas that they've already evolved. Like, previously, you could lock this door, but you kind of had to half jam the key into it to open it. Now they've got these nice aircraft style latches for a battery compartment over here. You could stuff, 1, 2, 3, 4 batteries in there if you're interested. You can get Battleborn lithium phosphate batteries from Ember from the factory level if you're so inclined. And again, versus say like the very first release of these, how it has the little risers under the gearbox to give you room to hook up more varieties of load leveling anti-sway hitches. And speaking of more varieties of things, they use a Versa coupler, which is their fancy pants word for it, which basically that can be swapped out for a lock and roll hitch, an articulating hitch, in case you wanted to do a little bit of, off-grid action or off-road action, as it were. One of the differences here as compared to some things, like let me get you over here next to a wolf pup. And I'm not bashing wolf pup, I'm just showing you a physical example of some different things here, just because on camera it's hard to see some size difference. Actually, I didn't even know how well it's showing up. But anyway, wolf pup is 7 foot wide, whereas this Ember is 7.5 foot wide. And I think you can kind of discern that a little bit by looking at these things, one right next to another. That it's a little bit wider, it's a little bit taller. And when you hear the components, you hear aluminum, you hear Asdel, you hear composites. It sounds like an ultralight. It's not. I don't want people to think that. This isn't built to be lightweight. This isn't built to be inexpensive. It's built to be solid, rugged, long-lasting, generational. Because again, there's really not a splinter of wood in the construction of this. Like the floor, I said we're going to talk how it's a little bit similar to Airstream. They use the exact same floor Airstream uses, but they use a version that's twice as thick. It's pretty awesome. It has greater screw retention as compared even to plywood tongue and groove floors. It's extremely strong. Also, they're not using a common butyl tape on all their little corner joints right here. If you're familiar with RV construction, usually under the corner seams of RVs, there's a little putty stuff called butyl tape. Well, over time it dries and it rots out, and then you have to seal the RV from the outside. Ember uses a Turnabond tape under their powder-coated aluminum exoskeleton here. In theory, you should never have to mess with it. If somebody wants to go through and put beads of sealant around here, if it makes you feel better, you could. But in theory, there's nothing that you really should need to do with that, which I think is kind of cool. Now, up front here, there's one little suggestion I have for Ember. Like, every time I go through these things, I see, like, oh, it'd be neat if they did that. So, if you get the Max Solar package, that big storage tub under the sofa, it's occupied with all kinds of electrical stuff like batteries and a specialty power system and all kinds of things. But one like this, with the standard solar package, that's open storage. I kind of wish that had, like, at least an access door or panel or something I could get in there. Because as a result, it kind of feels like I don't have amazing outside storage, although at least it is some kind of pass-through. If you don't like the drawbridge style door, just unclip it, and it can fold all the way down. That way you don't have to duck under it to get into it. Little things like that I think are smart. Another good indication that you've got greater ground clearance here, so you're not ripping off your sewer tanks, is stuff like this, where you've got the triple entry step as compared to a double. And one of the things that's always nice about the LCI step, they do have a bigger, wider top plank, so it just gives you more places, like if you got to stand there and fiddle with your keys or whatnot, you know, you can do that kind of thing. Now, we kind of talked about the tires earlier, but I did just kind of a sample staging over here of a built-in factory wheel chock, which I think is just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. You notice, because how do you effectively stabilize a single axle camper? It's very hard. The other thing with this is where that little pin is located. You could padlock that for security's sake, and then you don't got to worry about people running off with your trailer. That, to me, I think that's a pretty cool peace of mind thing. You get a fancy trailer like this. If you're not able to keep it like on your property, if it's at like a storage facility, that's a nice little factor for me. Although there's always like tongue, hitch, coupler locks, things like that. Now out here, the little mini fridge in this kind of camp convenience center, as it were, that is standard. The griddle is optional, and if you don't want either of them, it always comes with that little slide out kind of countertop tray, and you could always just pop the fridge out if you wanted to. Now that the inverter system, will actually run that refrigerator going down the road, and that is a major thing I don't think a lot of people realize on a lot of RVs. Because where the fridge inside is a 12-volt DC compressor fridge, basically it's powered like straight from the battery, this is still a 110 only fridge. I've been advised from Ember that they're looking into 12-volt options. There's just not a supplier available who can provide them with enough fridges to keep up with production, basically. That's just kind of one of those things. Hopefully that resolves itself over time. But in the meantime, at least they did wire their inverter to that outside fridge so it can operate when, if nothing else, when you're going down the road. If you're going to be running that when you're boondocking, understand that's going to put a significant drag on your battery, and you're probably going to want a more advanced solar package if you plan on running that little fridge when you're off grid. But at least they give you something. It's a step in the right direction, I think, as compared to most manufacturers who don't do anything. They're like, no, when you're going down the road, it ain't got no power. Ember looks at it, and, I got the power! And, now that song's gonna be in my head the rest of the day. All right, everybody sing it with me so we can get this all out of our system. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Sweet Caroline. Now, Griddlicious cooking station aside, over here in the back corner, you also have the option, anyway, this is a non-standard piece of equipment, the telescoping kind of ladder system here. It actually kind of brackets and hooks onto the RV near the top there, so, you know, it does have a point of contact. One of the things I like is how it sticks up way past the roof line, because it actually gives you something to really hold on to. That's less of an issue when you're climbing up the ladder. I'm telling you, that's a big deal when you're climbing down the ladder. As a person who has climbed on a lot of RVs over the years, that's something I know I certainly appreciate, because I am not the most graceful guy. Frankly, I think it's kind of half a miracle that I've never had an accident, but when I am going up and down ladders, I do tend to be a little bit more careful. This is also, I think, a really exceptional quality right here. You have a bumper dumper hookup station. I guess some people also call that an accessory hitch if you want to add a bike rack or whatnot, or maybe a small portable generator tray or general cargo tray. That's weird, but neither here nor there. The fact is you could use it for a lot of different things, and because they have that bigger, heavier duty chassis, they have effectively the capacity to support something like that. That's also part of the reason the spare tire is mounted a little high. Now, one of the other things that I like here is you can't really see it on this video, but this has like the same turn signal safety package as your Jaycos. You see those extra clearance lights up top, and how our tail lights have a reverse travel element. Well, basically, if you flip on your left-hand turn signal, those extra lights at the top left and all the lights down the side of the RV here will blink with the RV so that other people got a clue what you are doing. And once again, you know, you don't have to get an optional lift package or anything. These just by default have some really nice ground clearance. Now, one of the other really cool things about the gearbox is that basically it's structural. I can stand on it is effectively what I'm getting at, because if you notice, we're right up on top of things. And I like to get up here to show you a few things. Sometimes with this front skylight thing, people, they're afraid that, Stargazer, that's, skylight thing. Maybe if I repeat it, it'll come to, I guess it did. It worked. Anyway, sorry. It's got like a little wind fairing here, like a little deflector, effectively, so that when you're going down the road, air can't like get under this thing. Not to mention, it has 5 twist locks on the inside. It takes a lot for this to go sideways, basically. It's just pretty much not gonna happen. And now I've had somebody say, yeah, but what if you leave it open and then you leave your campsite? What if you leave your entry door open? What if you leave your steps down? I mean, you have to have a pre-trip checklist that you go down for safety's sake. But the other thing I like to show you up here is it is not a rubberized roof. The roof is literally just like a sidewall. It's double Asdel, so Asdel top and bottom layer, aluminum framed, high density block foam packed, so that you've basically got a nice hard barrier between you and the sunshine. Not to mention these double pane windows do a much better job of helping keep the RV climate controlled. That being said, they're still nowhere near the R value of like a roof or a wall, but they're much better than a conventional single pane window in that regard. These are different from most RV like dual pane kind of windows in that way. Anyway, The thing I want to give you a warning on here, though, is if it's a little bit wet, it's a little bit slippery up here, so kind of keep that in mind. But this is also, you get to see their 190-watt roof solar package up here. That is a standard on all these. Again, somebody earlier said I had a 200-watt smile. I don't know, but that's more than a 190-watt package. That kind of comment really gets me amped up, if you know what I'm saying. By the way, how many electrical puns can we throw in the comments section of this thing? I am here for it. I want to see everything you have. I think it'll be a shockingly good time. Anyway, it'll be a real ray of sunshine. But what I'm getting at is you also have the option for a max solar package, which bumps this thing up to 570 watts, a 3,000 watt kind of inverter, charger, smart system combo that completely changes your electrical system, like on a fundamental level. Has to be done from the factory. That's not something you can just upfit onto a standard Ember, because it totally changes your electrical package. Could it theoretically be done? Sure. Is the juice going to be worth the squeeze? Probably not. And that's the kind of plus minus info I want to give you here. Kind of like I told you, you know. This is cool. This is heavy, fancy, but it's also heavy, and they're more expensive than most single axle campers out there. Everything's greatest benefit is also its greatest liability, and that's the fair info that I want to give you here. So if you appreciate stuff like this, make sure you've taken a moment to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and if nothing else, hit the like button, help spread the word on the video. Just leave me a comment that says thanks, nerd. I'd appreciate it. Now, for comparison purposes, I will leave you links in the video description to a couple similar floor plans and some of the other Embers, like the no-slide bunkhouse or the couples camper with a slide, just so you can do some comparisons if you haven't done so before. And if you'd like to see, like I said, some other things that maybe are of a similar lineup, we have no shortage of opportunities here with Bish's RV across our different locations. So when you're ready, we're ready. We don't do hidden dealer fees. We just do all the other stuff. So until next time, folks, take care, stay safe, have fun, and best wishes from Bish's, everyone.